Hey everyone, Leo Bond here, and I'm finally back with another video review. Sorry for such a long delay, but life has most certainly been happening, as they say. But enough about that. Let's get right into today's review, which this time is for banggood.com. I'll have a link in the description box below. And what I have here today is a seriously fast twin hull speedboat called the Volantex V792-4 Atomic. So we're just going to say Atomic, which is a 2.4 gigahertz radio controlled, ready to run boat that measures a fairly impressive 70 centimeters long. That's 27.5 inches. And it features a brushless motor with a top running speed of 60 kilometers an hour, which is super fast on water. And you're going to be seeing some of that speed here in today's video, along with some close-up footage of the boat and its various parts and features. And by the end of this thing, I'm going to let you know my overall opinion of it. But I generally only agree to review stuff that I kind of expect to like anyway. And although this sample was provided for free by banggood.com, I actually requested this particular model. I have to pick it out myself. So I was very excited to get this thing. And thus, spoiler alert, I pretty much really like it. Anyway, the first thing that I noticed about the Atomic here was just how beautiful it is. I mean, this thing is slick. I love the color scheme, and I also like the twin hull design, which, by the way, is an ABS hull. This thing is also available in yellow. I'll let you know that too. And that actually might even be a more attractive version than the red one here. It's just a beauty. Of course, it does have a nice little display stand there for when you're not out running it. And the battery on this thing is an 11.1 volt, 2600 milliamp hour LiPo, and it's actually held in place in the boat with some Velcro, which is kind of a neat little touch there, although it is kind of tough to get the battery out if you want to do that, so some people may find it a little bit annoying, but I kind of personally like to know that it's being securely held in there, so that's okay with me. It also comes with a handy little LiPo balance charger, which should get you a full charge inside of maybe 2 to 3 hours. I didn't exactly time it out, although the plug-in for this was not the North American style plug-in, or at least not for the sample that I received. And if that happens to you, which probably shouldn't happen, but if it does, it's always fairly easy to find an adapter that you can use and that plugs into the regular North American style outlets. Anyway, as for the Atomic's transmitter, of course it is a 2.4 gigahertz 2-channel controller, and it's your typical sort of pistol style configuration. I like to call it a wheel and trigger configuration, and that means it's very comfortable to use. It's got a nice foam grip on the steering wheel part there, and it's also got your various trims. It's got steering and throttle trim. It runs on 4 AA batteries, which are not included. It also feels quite substantial and of more quality than a lot of the other transmitters that I've handled with products outside of your kind of higher end Traxxas range, that type of stuff. So I was very happy with the transmitter. Now this thing also does come with a few other little odds and ends, little bits and bobs. There's a couple of Allen wrenches, there's an extra propeller, some Velcro strips, stuff like that. Now I took this thing out to a freshwater lake about an hour away from where I live, and I have to say this thing can really go. Of course, it doesn't have reverse, but at forward throttle it can do somewhere around the 60 kilometer an hour range, and I certainly believe it after seeing this thing run. It just zips along like crazy, and I was really impressed with it. Now unfortunately, if you flip it over, and it did happen to me a few times, the boat cannot right itself. It doesn't have self-righting, so you will have to go on a rescue mission, and that may not be pleasant. Actually, when I was out getting this footage, it was still winter, and I really did not want to go for a winter swim, so I tried to keep it pretty close to shore. That's why I'm not venturing too far out there, although at one point I did have to enlist the help of a kayaker to go out there and flip it over for me, which is really nice and very much appreciated. But just keep that in mind. And also, if you're going out of the range of the transmitter, which seems to be a good 2 to 3, maybe even 400 feet. I mean, I didn't push it totally to the limit, but I did once or twice get it out there kind of far, at least 200 to 300 feet, and I was pretty impressed with that because I never even close to losing the signal, so that was great. Needless to say, I didn't do that too many times. I didn't want to be too risky, but I do believe the range on this thing is fairly solid. And I will also say that while I did have 3 or 4 flips while testing this, which probably was in about the 8 to 10 minute range because that's about how long the battery lasted, all of those flips did come when I was trying to make fairly sharp turns pretty much at full speed. And it was just because I was kind of feeling this thing out. It was my first time out there using it. I would think that, I'd get used to it pretty quick. And in fact, by the end of it, I wasn't flipping it at all. But anyway, that is just the sort of thing that's bound to happen on your first time out there. And if you're just kind of doing more gradual turns, I think even at top speed you should be fine and not really experience too many flips. However, it is a possibility, and it's worth knowing that that can happen. Now, my overall impressions of the Volantex ATOMIC here, well, it's pretty freaking impressive. The speed is just wicked, and it's a real blast to watch. I had a lot of fun out there testing it, a great time, and I also really like the overall quality of the boat and all of its parts. Nothing about it feels cheap, not that it should, and it's almost as much fun to just kind of display and look at as it is to run, but not quite. Now, I would suggest maybe trying to track down an extra battery or 2 if you're going to pick this thing up, just so that you can have more of a worthwhile run while you're out there. And that's pretty much all I've got to say about this for now. So I do hope that you enjoyed the video, or at least found it useful. And if you did, a thumbs up and a share would most certainly be appreciated. And I promise not to take 6 or 8 months between reviews in the future, or at least I hope not. For the immediate future, things might be a little bit sporadic for a while. But in any case, I would like to thank you all for watching. Please come back and see me here again. But for now, have an excellent day, and I'll see you in the next review.